Hello, Mark.
Hi, Jenny. Yes. Can you hear me?
Pace is on the line. Pace, this is Mark, the realtor.
Mark, my new friend. How you doing, man?
Hey, Pace, doing well. Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for doing this on a Sunday morning. I know that's a little cumbersome.
It's all right. It's okay. You got to get deals done any time of the day.
Yeah,
so.
My kind of realtor right there. I love it.
So it's already 10:01. Let me go ahead and patch Sham in.
Mark, just real quick, 20-second overview. How far did you guys get with that call with the seller?
So actually, this is the thing. I actually never got her into contact with Jenny.
Okay.
It's just been between Sham and I. And I built good rapport with him for a while. He's just been stuck on the 1.8 number. I mean, he's been very open to bringing a buyer in, but at his terms. And I told him basically what Jenny has been telling me about, seller finance subject to or with terms, right? And he said he definitely wants to hear more about it because, he said, look, well, this 1.8 number, we could probably get you. But if you want to get possibly more, because he was talking about possibly renting. I said, like, if you want to, hear it out, they also provide seller financing subject to, and, they could possibly potentially offer more. And he's like, I'm really interested. Please let me get on a call with them.
Cool. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'm going to patch Sham in. His name's Sham Tarani. It's going to be him and his wife. I'm going to patch him in right now.
Okay. Just for the record, these are always really challenging having four-way calls. They're really, really hard. That's why I don't enjoy it when somebody's like, hey, can I be on the phone with you and the seller? I always say no. Like, it's just easier for me to call the seller directly, record the call, and then come back. It's just like everybody and the flow gets screwed up too. Like you can't have a real conversation with people. It's like always like who's talking and what's this and the other. So this is an abrupt call. Usually I would say, let me call the seller directly and I'll record the call for you so we can hear it. But this is what it is.
Pace back there. It says Pace on there. I see.
I'm on here, guys.
Great. So now we have Sham. We're just waiting on Sham.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. I believe we're all here. Sham, Pace, Jenny, you guys can hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sham, we have Jenny and Pace here, who I've been telling you so much about. I'm basically going to just sit back and take some notes, and I'd like for Pace and Jenny to take over and answer all your questions.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. I appreciate that. Sham, this is Pace. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Let me tell you a little bit about our business model so you can kind of understand where we're always trying to drive the boat. We acquire multiple different types of assets across the country. We do single family, we do multifamily, and we just bought a motel this morning, all by utilizing seller finance. So we go to sellers typically that are wanting a very specific purchase price. I think in your situation, you're looking for 1.8 million. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we go to a seller and we say, hey, we're happy to go up to that purchase price as long as we can work out some sort of term, some sort of arrangement that works for both parties. And that is how we bought our last 800 assets, was all through seller finance or creative finance, to be a little bit more specific.
Okay.
And so your property, what we typically will do once we purchase these properties and become the owners of them, is we will do a variety of different things depending on the house or the asset itself. Obviously, if we buy a motel like we just did in Virginia, we're going to turn that into a motel. It was already built for that. If it is a multifamily asset, like we're buying one in Vegas right now, right off the strip, 300 unit, $60 million acquisition, seller finance, that's going to stay a multifamily apartment complex. But when it gets into like the single family residences, it could be sometimes a rental, but at this purchase price, a rental is a little bit more challenging for us to cash flow. So typically what we'll do is we'll do corporate rentals with like the airlines. So we'll take the property, take control of it through owning it. And then we'll go work with the airlines to have pilots and stewardesses and people of that type stay in the property so that we can actually cash flow. So we're interested in the property. We would be open to buying the property for 1.8 million. But again, our main purchase strategy is always through some sort of seller finance.
Yeah, well, that's not what Mark said yesterday.
Oh, okay. What did Mark allude to?
He didn't allude. He said that you guys can do an all cash offer for 1.8, or there's a seller finance option at a higher purchase price. So that's why
that might be okay with Jenny. Jenny might be interested in the 1.8 all cash, but when we do seller finance terms, we do. I'm the guy that comes in and does the seller finance stuff as part of the partnership. So if you do a seller finance term, and that's something that you would be interested in, then let's talk about a purchase price that would make that enticing for you.
Okay, well, let's just rewind for a second back to what I just said.
Of course.
Mark said that you guys are, because we weren't even looking to sell the house, number one.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, months ago, somehow, I don't know how he contacted me, but I think you contacted me about you had some sort of a buyer, and I just said, we're not looking to sell, and then you were like, what number would make you interested in selling? We said 1.8 at that time. That was months ago, before interest rates went through the roof, right? So right now we're really not even looking to sell, because what are we going to get after we sell our house?
Yeah, what are you going to replace it with, right?
Yeah, what are we going to get when the interest rates are over 5% right now?
Yeah.
And we bought at a much lower interest rate in 2009. So, so when he called back, he basically let us know that he's got somebody that's willing to pay 1.8 million cash. So that's why, and then he said, there's an option to get a higher purchase price. If you want to get a higher purchase price, then there's the option of that with seller financing. So it was a call to go over both those options. That's my understanding. So.
Yeah, that's still the thing. So the reason Jenny and I partner on some assets across the country, but not everything. Jenny is more of a cash buyer. I'm more of the seller finance buyer. So the reason Jenny's on the phone is because the 1.8 million is still in play for you on a cash transaction. I'm the person that comes in, and if there's a seller finance opportunity, I come in with the down payment, and we structure a seller finance at a higher purchase price.
Okay. So how do you do a seller finance anyway? Let's say just throwing out a number, let's say the purchase price was $2 million. How does it work?
So you essentially become the bank, right? Do you have an existing debt on this property?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you owe on your debt right now?
$600K.
Okay. So you own $600K. So, we bought one for $3 million about a year ago. So this will be a really good example. So $3 million purchase, the seller had $1.2 million of an underlying debt to a bank called Zions Bank. Okay. Which left $1.8 million in equity with that seller, right?
Yeah.
So the seller was moving to Puerto Rico, didn't want to pay the taxes of that event. So he moved to Puerto Rico, and he said, hey, man, if I sell this through a real estate agent, I'm going to sell it for $3 million. And then I'm going to pay, $400,000 in commissions at this price point. And then my buyer at that point is also going to need an appraisal and a loan and a this and a da, 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 da. So that seller said, if you buy this property from me at $3 million and you give me 10% down, so $300,000, I will not only let you take over the $1.2 million of payments. He has a $5,500 payment on that house. I will also seller finance my remaining equity at $1.5 million to you. And so we make two payments. We make a payment to his underlying debt at Zions Bank. We just took over that loan. And then we make a monthly payment to him towards his equity. And when that seller says, well, how do you propose to set up that equity payment? I said, well, you're the bank. I don't walk into the bank and demand something. If I go to Chase, I go, what kind of loan programs are you guys, promoting right now? So it'd be the same thing with you, Sham, is I would say if you're interested in selling something, let's say hypothetically at $2 million, you have to tell us, because you're our bank and I'm essentially applying for credit with you. What are you looking for in a down payment? And based on that equity that you have in that deal, what would that payment look like towards that equity is something that really comes from the seller, because the seller in this situation turns into the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens if you guys default?
Well, we put something in our agreement that is called a performance deed. So if we don't perform, you guys keep our down payment, you keep all of our payments along the way, and you don't have to foreclose on on us. The deed just immediately goes back into your guys' name after 31 days of no payments.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, Mark also said, I mean, I'm just relaying what Mark said. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but
Yeah.
said that the seller finance deal has to do with that you'll pay for the equity in the house, which isn't really what you just described, right? Because
well, it depends on the seller. Sometimes if the seller doesn't have a lot of equity, right? So like, Sham, I didn't know how much equity you had until I asked you, right? So in some situations, Mark is correct, right? Let's say hypothetically, some sellers owe 1.5 million on their house and they want to sell it to me for 2 million. There's situations where I will come in with $500,000 in cash and pay off that equity because there's so much debt that I can take over. But because you have such a large amount of equity, that's a really challenging way for us to go, is to put up, that would essentially be 75% down payment or close to.
Yeah.
I would never do that deal because I could go down to Chase or, Loan Depot or whatever and put 30% down to buy the same asset, right?
Yeah.
And so for the velocity of our money, 75% down doesn't really work. However, there is another strategy that I'll throw out. Sometimes when we have sellers that have a lot of equity, what we will do is, let's say our purchase price is 2 million, hypothetically. Okay. I'll go get a loan for 70% of the purchase. So that would work out to be $1.4 million. I bring $1.4 million to the table that pays off your $600,000 loan. And then you get $800,000 remaining. And then you seller finance the back $600,000 of that in a second position seller carry. Hopefully that makes sense. So essentially, I bring 70% down, pay off your debt, give you a large down payment, and then you seller finance a portion of your equity.
Right, but then if you default, I'm in second position, so I don't.
No,
really
if you default, you take back over the house and you can sell it.
Uh-huh.
It all comes down to the way that we structure it with the attorney and the closing, because we always go through a title company and we structure it through attorneys. Your attorney will be able to draft whatever they want, change whatever they want to make sure you're protected. And your second position is essentially, if I default, you become the owner again, right? You're not in second position. You're in first position. You're now the owner. The deed goes into your name. So you can turn around and resell that property, lease it out, and keep all the money I gave you as a down payment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jenny, I mean, are you interested at 1.8, or because Mark said you were?
Essentially, yes, but it just depends on, for me, I would use it as a corporate rental space. So it would be something where I either contract with the nurses, traveling nurses units, and one of the agencies, and then we essentially make that what it would be. That's fine, but in that area, 1.8 at an all cash is a little steep. Because I know Woodland Hills back to front. So that area where you are, they're really around 1.5, 1.6. But it's, it could be a deal. It just depends. I would really have to look at it from that angle. We were exploring all options first and then seeing, what we came up with.
Right.
But I'm not opposed to it. I mean, it's still out there.
Here's what I would suggest, Sham, is I would suggest maybe letting me put an email together with all the options, with the numbers. So I think your wife is maybe on speakerphone. That's what I heard in the background.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm awesome. I love it when I have an audience because it's great. Because what I can do is I can send out an email and then you two can review the whole email. It'll give you all the options, like option 1, 2, and 3 that we already presented. And then I can get with Jenny and she can also throw out the cash offer as well in that email. And even if you say no to all 4, at least you guys can look at all 4 options in the email.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, at this point, it's like we weren't really looking to sell. Like, selling our primary residence and then trying to go replace it with the same type of house is impossible at this point. So
It's tough for sure. You definitely got to have the motivation. You know, a lot of times it's somebody's moving for a job opportunity or they were already planning on moving that's planning on doing the seller finance with us.
yeah,
So I totally get it. And at least it's a good learning experience for everybody involved, right? So I can put an email together, let you guys take a look at it. And maybe in 2 months you change your mind. Maybe in 6 months you change your mind. Who knows, right? And at least we'll throw it out in front of you.
Well, we're gonna really get your Instagram videos and YouTube videos, and we're learning. We'll call you guys if we decide something, and maybe at that point you guys can put an email together.
Yeah, we'd love to.
yeah, I mean, so basically, you know, what you're saying, Jennifer, is that you weren't interested at 1.8. I mean, look, I understand what you guys are doing. I get you're trying to create leads and calling realtors like Mark and trying to drum up leads and whatnot. But Mark was saying you're interested at 1.8 and making an offer, correct, Mark?
I was saying that Jenny was interested at that price point. We just wanted to see it, get something set up to go see the property. And
Yeah, so here's the other thing, Sham. I don't even know the condition of the property, right? So let's realistically talk, since that's what you want to do, because that just makes more sense for everybody. I don't know the condition of the property. I don't know if I need to just kind of tidy it up, or if I need to go in and do a full-on renovation, right? So I can't say, yes, Sham, I want to do 1.8, because essentially I don't know what I'm walking into. That's just the issue here. I'm not saying I'm opposed to 1.8. No, we're not just kind of looking around for leads. That's not it. If you're willing to sell, then obviously I'm willing to buy, but I don't know what I'm walking into. So I don't want you to say, oh, well, Jenny, you said 1.8 after I see your house. And I'm like, oh, well, no, I only can do 1.4. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just have to see the whole scheme of things from a bird's eye view, put it all together, make sure it all makes sense for me as the buyer, because you as the seller, you know, you have your price that you want to pay, which is fine. I mean, my husband and I, before we moved from Atlanta, we were dead set on 230,000. And the guy was like, well, you know, once he came in, he saw that we needed stainless steel appliances, you know, and a few things. And he was like, well, for me as the buyer, it's not realistic, because I need to go in and do a little bit more than a touch up. I need to, you know, get new appliances. And he put it into a perspective for me where I put myself in his shoes. So right now I'm asking you to put yourself in my shoes, saying, no, we're not just, you know, yanking you around here. We definitely really want to put in an offer. I just need you to put yourself in my shoes for a second. Would you go into a house and say, or to a deal right now, verbally, because I'm a person about my word. I don't want to verbally say something to you, and then I change it up. So for you, let's say you were me, would you say, hey, Jenny, yeah, I'll give you 1.8, and you haven't even seen the condition of the house, Sean? Would that make sense?
Of course not. But
right. So that's all I'm saying. Like, it's not that I'm opposed to it. I just don't know what I'm walking into.
Right. I know, I get that, but that's
yeah,
not what Mark said yesterday. That's, you know, let's.
Well, Mark said, you know, what him and I discussed, which was, yes, Mark, if everything checks, my boxes check off, I can do a 1.8 all cash all day. That's not an issue. But Mark and I also discussed that we haven't seen the property besides, you know, like one photo of the front. That was it. I didn't see anything else. But for me, it works. I mean, I love the house. I love Woodland Hills. It's a great area. I make, you know, a lot of money in Woodland Hills with, you know, my corporate rental. So I trust me, I'm wanting to see the house, possibly purchase the house, but we just wanted to give you all options just in case. So again, don't feel like I'm opposed to the cash offer. I am not. I just want to see the condition of it so that all parties are comfortable. That's it. It's not that that's off the table at all.
Right. No, I get that.
Yeah.
It was framed a little bit differently than what we're talking about.
So when you say framed a little bit differently, Sham, does that mean that Mark told you that Jenny's going to pay all cash 1.8 and she doesn't want to see the house?
No, he didn't say
that.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's the only thing here. I mean, everything is still the same.
No, here's the difference. What we told him was that we would not sell the house for less than that because there's no reason to, right? We're paying property taxes based on 2009. Like, if you came in to buy this house right now with 20% down, the payment would be more than double what we're paying for it right now. So there's really no reason for us to sell it, right? We have no incentive to sell it. We're not in a position where we need to sell the house. So that's just the, Mark, he did his good follow up from our conversation from 4 or 5 months ago, whenever it was. We gave him a number that we'd be interested in selling it at months ago before interest rates spiked to where they are now. Now it's like a completely different situation, right?
It
now,
is, yes.
Most people are not listing their houses right now because there's no reason to.
Got it.
That's just the reality. If we were in a different situation, then maybe, we would think about it, but we're not. So
okay, yeah. I mean, I thought the purpose for you getting on the call was that you guys were interested in selling. My apologies.
No,
I didn't know that.
We're interested in selling at one point.
Right, but I already went over all that to you, and you still said, "Oh well," you're still saying what Mark said. I'm just okay. Got it.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You need to see the house. I mean, anybody would want to see a house before they buy it, and that's fine. If you want to see the house, this is what we need. We need proof. I mean, he sent over a bank statement, but we need a proof of funds letter from you, like signed by your banker at Wells Fargo, along with the statement at the same time, and then we'll show you the house.
Okay. Well, we're good. If you guys are not interested in selling, I'm not going to go the extra mile to try to. I don't want to make you sell. So it's all good.
Extra mile.
That's your extra mile. What are you talking about?
No. What I'm saying is, if I feel like right now we're like going through a song and dance to just see the house, and it just, for me, it just, I'm.
Wait, excuse me. Wait a minute. A song and dance is not reality. The reality is our house isn't listed.
Okay.
Mark told us that he has a buyer for $1.8 million all cash with another option for seller financing at a higher number.
Yep.
We're not listing the house anyway.
Okay.
So all I'm asking for is if you want to see the house, if you're committed to seeing the house because you're interested in it,
yes,
then we would want proof of funds letter to show you the house. And
okay. Yeah, well, that's fine.
In doing that, that's fine. Like, it's not a big deal to us. So,
Can I jump in for just a second, guys?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The reality is, I think Mark, probably in the haste of running a business and doing all the things he did, I think that there was a unrealistic expectation on both parties. And so the friction that we're feeling on this call is actually not people being upset with each other. It's just that there was probably a little bit of haste. So there's no negativity here at all. And Sham, you guys are correct. You weren't listing the property. You're not hyper motivated to sell your property, but you're open to it at least if it's at 1.8. And so your argument there is, hey, I know it's not normal for a buyer to come in with a proof of funds letter for all cash before they see the property. But in this situation, you're calling for it because your house wasn't listed. And on Jenny's side, I know as a real estate investor, I would never spend the time to send over a proof of funds on something that I was trying to buy before I sold it. Or I'm sorry, before I got into a contract or I was going to submit an actual offer. Because we look at so many properties that the rigmarole of actually providing proof of funds and getting our banker to sign something that's up to date takes hours of time. And so Jenny's immediate knee-jerk reaction is, that's not normal. But the reality is what you're asking for in this specific situation actually is really called for. And if you guys want a proof of funds, we'd be happy to show you a proof of funds, get it signed by our banker. And it's not out of the ordinary for this specific situation.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel it's realistic as well too. I apologize if I ever mischaracterize anything, but
No.
I feel for what Sean was asking. I mean, if we can provide that, and if you guys are okay, Pace and Jenny providing that,
Of course,
yes.
Mark. And
that'd
Mark,
be very
even Mark, you didn't do anything wrong. You know how many times I've miscommunicated just because I was going from one call to another, or I was going in the grocery store, or my kid was barking at me about they want some macaroni and cheese or something. So, bro, you did nothing wrong. This is just a bunch of adults trying to work out a deal or figure out that there is no deal here. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Sham, can you guys wait till maybe late Monday afternoon? We'll get you I could send you a bank statement, but if you want one signed by my banker, it's going to take me probably all day long to get his attention to sit down, sign it, and then like scan it over. So if you give us till tomorrow afternoon, I'd love to provide that for you.
Yeah, but I thought Jennifer would be providing that because she's the one that's on the agreement.
Her and
right?
I partner. I'm the financial backer of a lot of things that we do. So I'm the one that has a tremendous amount of money sitting in the bank account. So showing approval.
Well, no, he does have my bank statement.
He does have yours too?
He
okay.
sees exactly what's in there.
So he just wants to get a signature from your banker.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it'll just need to be probably towards the end of the day, right? So if you guys could wait till the end of the day, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's fine. We're in no rush, so.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Pace. Really appreciate it, Pace. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So guys, I could like break that call down so much. Jenny did a great job, but the challenge is when you have, this is why I don't love direct to realtor outreach, guys. I'm telling you right now, this is a perfect example, is that you guys are spending all this time and energy with real estate agents and nobody can have an actual conversation because you spend literally 60% of the conversation like digesting and unraveling what the real estate agent did incorrectly. He set up the call wrong for us. He set up the call wrong for them. He had bad expectations on both sides. So now, you know, all you have to do now is win that relationship and not look like an asshole. Because now guess who looks like an asshole? Mark. Mark looks like an asshole. Do we all agree with that? Jenny, I think what Jenny probably should not have done, and this is the problem, is that because the lead came from the real estate agent, we don't want to sit there and blast the real estate agent, do we? Okay? We don't want to blast the real estate agent because now he's not going to send us another lead. Right? So I took the moment of like, hey man, it's okay. Like there was a miscommunication. It's no big deal. Like we all have kids. We all have other businesses. Like nobody did anything wrong here. But it had to be pointed out that Mark set that up incorrectly. That's it. So now everybody is up to speed. Everybody's good. We know that nobody's asking. The reality is Jenny is not going to buy this house for $1.8 million cash. Okay. And the agent needs a lesson of how to negotiate better, because what I would have told the seller is I would have told the seller, hey, your house is not worth 1.8, but why don't I come and provide a bunch of options to you, a cash offer at an appropriate price, plus some seller finance opportunities, right? And then you have a conversation. But the challenge is Mark said he had a buyer at $1.8 million, all cash. You set the tone incorrectly. And so if I'm the one in control of that call, I can, which I was for the most part, but at some point it's like Jenny's the one that set this up, so I let her do her thing. But the reality is you have to get the train back on the tracks. Okay. And the seller, did you also notice at the very beginning of the call, it's very smart for you to set your intention when you don't know what the last call was, right? And if I said, catch me up to speed, when the agent is on the phone call, that's why I didn't use that line. This is why I prefer not to have people on the phone with me, is I say, catch me up to speed. They didn't really leave me great notes. And I immediately position myself in a place of, I'm too important. Okay, I'm too important to know what the hell is going on here. They're calling me in here because I'm the one with all the money. But because Mark was on the phone, I couldn't say catch me up to speed, because Sean would be like, what the hell do you mean catch you up to speed? Weren't you just on the phone with Mark? Like before you guys called me on three-way, Mark didn't tell you what the hell this call's about? There's so many things that were set up incorrectly about this. And do we all kind of understand that? Everybody learn. Here's the thing, guys. Oh, what did I write down? I wrote something down in my first Zoom of the morning. It was, my first Zoom of the morning was multifamily, Vina and Tia and a handful of other people. And the thing Vina said that was really great, she said, a fast no is better than a slow, or I'm sorry, a fast no is better than a slow maybe, right? The wife also is the decision maker in that. And so I picked up on that very quickly. And that's why I brought her, because she's like standing in the background and I can hear her shuffling around. You guys couldn't hear her. I could hear her shuffling around. So that's why I was like, hey, somebody's in the background. What's going on? Da, 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 right? So Tigger says she heard. So you've got to bring that's what we call the black swan. You guys ever hear the phrase, the black swan? It's the unknown enemy. It's the person who is behind the scenes. It's an agent. It's another wholesaler, another investor, could be their attorney, could be a family member, whatever. There's a black swan in every single person's, the card holder, right? The person who's pulling the strings. Geppetto. Does anybody know who Geppetto is? Okay. It's ironic because the Geppetto pulls the strings of the lying puppet. Okay. So a lot of things to learn from that. And when everybody says, why don't you do direct to agent outreach? Do you guys now know why I don't like doing direct to agent outreach? I'm just good at talking to sellers directly. So why do I need an agent to talk to a seller? Now, is it a great business model? Jonah Corchin and a whole bunch of other people have great success with it. Jamil has great success with it. It's just my personality. I know I have like amazing patience level, and I'm not frustrated about it. What I look at is I go, from my time allotment, do I want to go work with an agent to then hope that they relay the information properly to the seller just so it can potentially come back to me so I can negotiate a deal? No, I'd rather just go to the seller, right? All right, cool. And that's honestly, the other thing too is like, the first thing I wrote down as my note is lack of motivation. Why are we on the phone call with a seller that's not motivated? Right? Like if somebody goes, yeah, we've been thinking about selling, but like it just hasn't come to the right number. Great. There's some motivation there. Why are you thinking about moving? This guy's like, literally like, why would I sell my house? Where am I going to go? We literally were not thinking about selling. Guys, stop chasing deals. Okay. Where was the motivation there? Anybody have any motivation? There's literally no motivation, no pain whatsoever. Now, remember, here's the thing. In wholesale and some creative finance, we can solve people's pain. In seller finance, we can usually appeal to their gain, right? They want to gain something. So what got this guy enticed or motivated was a $2 million offer, right? $2 million offer. He's like, if you give me $2 million, I will consider it. That actually motivated his gain. This is what seller finance can do. Cash transactions can't do that. Daryl says, how do you get to the black swan? You call them out. Call them out every time. Just like I did with with the wife. I was waiting for a moment for me to call the wife out to bring her closer to the phone. Okay. Ramon says, guys, this is going to happen a lot. My opinion is that when this market begins in downward spiral, real estate agents will be a good asset. Agents will become desperate when they can't sell homes. Yeah, I agree. Guys, I'm going to say this again. Okay, so when you go tattle to Jamil that Pay says he doesn't like the direct to agent outreach, did I say it doesn't work? No. Because there's a bunch of tattletales, right? People are self-important. They want to go tell Jamil something I said so they feel important. I did not say the strategy doesn't work. I just am so good at talking to sellers and working out deals. Why would I want to waste my time with an agent? Go right through the agent. What the hell does the agent know that I don't? Okay. I prefer, it's just my model. It's the same reason why I drive a Prius. I'm not excited about driving an Aston Martin or a Porsche. They're cool. I see the value in them. But my Prius gets me laid too. You know what I'm saying? Aren't we having SubTo students in the secret agent challenge? Yeah, Maj, what guys, what do you think? Do you think I don't think that the direct to agent model works? Did I ever say it doesn't work? Pay attention, knucklehead. I'm going to karate chop you. You handsome devil. Just saw you a couple of days ago. I just don't like it for me personally. Have I done a lot of deals? Yeah, the last home I lived in was a subject to deal through an agent on a listed property. Let me say that one more time. The last property I personally had my family live in, hold on, I don't know if you're listening. The last property that I personally lived in besides this house was a subject to deal that I got from an on-market listing through a real estate agent. So does it work, and have I done it multiple times? Yes. But in terms of scalability and my personality, I prefer not to do it. That's it. Okay. Tanisha, we had Kihano was on the direct to agent challenge. Guys, the direct to agent challenge is awesome. We have a lot of students having success. Look at Jonah Korchin, one of several students that are doing the direct to agent model only, specifically just direct to agent, making a lot of money. I just don't do it myself as a scalable business model, meaning I do it as a full-time endeavor. Does that make sense? It works. I do probably 5 or 6 of them a year, but I'm not going after it. That's it. My personality is like, it's not that I hate agents. I do like teasing agents, but it's that why would I go through one layer just to get to the next layer? You know what I'm saying? It's like putting a screen door. Ooh, think about this. When you guys park in your garage and you go into your house from your garage, does everybody from here drive into your garage and then walk into your house through your garage? Who's like that? Say yes. Okay. So imagine you one day wake up and you go, you know what? I need another layer between my garage and my house. So I'm going to put another second door between me and my house. So now I have to open up a screen door just to get to my garage door to then walk into my house. To me, that's like doing deals with real estate agents. It's like, what did I need the door for? I can go directly to the door. Okay. However, some people like that security. Okay. Some people are like, I like that security. I like that extra layer. Some people like it. And it works for a lot of people. And it works for me too. I just prefer not to. Okay. All right. I am going to an appointment. Did you guys have this was a really good Zoom, 2 hours, really good Zoom today. This is like a replay 5 freaking time type of Zoom, right? Matt Adele says, I think Jenny deserves some appreciation, put herself out there. Yeah, I'm texting her right now. I said, that was fun. Great job. You did amazing. She's a killer on the phone. That's not her fault that the agent didn't set up expectations properly, right? That Jenny did a great job there. And Jenny's great on the phone. Like she's a cutthroat. The problem is she's fighting. What she was fighting against was not something that was her problem. What she was fighting against is an agent unrealistically setting up bad expectations, or setting up unrealistic expectations is what happened. That's what happened. So do me a favor, go to the Facebook group. And honestly, this was such a good Zoom. Tell me something you guys learned in this Zoom in the Facebook group. So as I'm driving today, my wife can tell me all the posts you guys make about what I learned or what you learned. It makes me realize what you guys are learning and not learning. So thank you guys so much.